Thanks for coming back to part 2 of our no meat Super Bowl party. So what's happening here? We're going to do a marinated tofu. So I have my tofu in the refrigerator. You know that your tofu normally comes wrapped and it's packed in water. So what I've done here is what's called pressing. My tofu is wrapped in paper towels. I have it in the Ziploc bag just so it doesn't take on other odors. And we're going to unwrap it for our tofu. We're going to take it out. This is to make it firm. We don't want it to break apart and all of those things. And then our tofu, we actually can just make it into cubes. This is a full pound. We're going to make it into cubes. I like to make them equal, but it's not working out that way. And that's okay because I'm at the house. So there's our tofu there. And then I'm just going to cut across. Now, if you're not a tofu fan, that's okay. I'm not particularly a tofu fan either. So for me, I'll probably do a cauliflower or carrots or something like that. But for people that are okay with having tofu, we're cubing this up. I'm taking, these are all the ingredients that we use. I'm taking 3 tablespoons of soy sauce. I don't have any white rice wine vinegar, but I do have sake. So I'm using 3 tablespoons of sake. This is maple syrup. If you don't have maple syrup or you don't like maple syrup, that's okay. Then you're going to use honey. You might use brown sugar. You might even use stevia. But I'm going to use the equivalent, if you're using stevia, of a tablespoon of sweetener, which is going in. This is sesame oil. Now you can use a neutral oil. You can use canola, olive, avocado, any of those oils. But because I like the flavor of the sesame oil with the soy, I'm using sesame oil, and I have 2 tablespoons here. Now, what is in here is garlic powder, crushed red pepper, and ginger powder. Normally, I like to use fresh ginger, but I don't have any, and I'm not going to the store. I like for my food to have a little bit of a kick, not too much, so I add the crushed red pepper, and then, of course, I have the garlic powder. About half a teaspoon of each of these going into the mix. I'm going to whisk these. If you don't have a whisk, you have a fork, and it'll do the same thing. If you don't want to make this dish, I could have done it all in the Ziploc bag and moved on with my life, right? So how does that work? Instead of using the Ziploc bag as the trash bag, I'm mixing everything in it. And I'm going to put in my tofu. Woo. Zipping it up and living a good life. So, and I just want to get everything coated. This going back into the fridge for about an hour. Bring it out, roast it at 400 degrees for about 10-15 minutes, and you have your roasted tofu, okay? And it's going to go along with the 3 dips that we've already made. So I'm sure there's a lot of curiosity about how all of these odd meatless ingredients are going to come together. Gonna go ahead and put this in so it can marinate. And then I'm gonna look in my refrigerator to see what I have. Okay? And I have some tomatoes. So I'm gonna use those. Okay. I have some carrots that were peeled that still weren't used. I'm gonna figure out something to do with that. What else? Oh, I've got some mushrooms. Loving mushrooms. I'm going to do something with my mushrooms. I have a cucumber and a cauliflower. I can make this work. So for the next hour, my tofu is just going to be taking on its residence in the refrigerator, relaxing, having a good time. Of course, the dips that we talked about yesterday, my onion, bean, and curry are all in the fridge. Remember I talked about your curry dip having a tinge? Well, your onion dip having a tinge? Well, mine has a tinge because I actually whipped it with the cilantro. So, as it's resting and preparing to roast in the oven, if you want to see how it all comes together, I'll see you back here before kickoff for part 3. And of course, for those of you that need a recap on those ingredients, here's your recipe card. So it's 1 pound of extra firm tofu, 4 tablespoons of soy sauce. But if you don't care for soy sauce, you can always use the coconut aminos or some other flavoring if you prefer Worcestershire. Just depends on what kind of flavor that you want, right? Then there's 3 tablespoons of rice wine vinegar. But if you don't have the rice wine vinegar, I substituted sake. Of course, you can make it balsamic vinegar or whatever kind of flavor profile you want. The same thing with the sugar portion and your oil. I like heat, so I added the crushed red pepper, but if you don't like the heat, don't do it. I added the garlic powder and the ginger powder because I didn't have any fresh. And who wants to go to the store on Super Bowl Sunday? So give this a shot, and we're going to show you how it all comes together real soon.